Hello, friends. This is Heather Biedermann with Liberty Librarian, and it's Thursday again, and it's a beautiful day here in warm Minnesota. I have a window actually open in my house. Fresh air is coming in. This is kind of an awesome thing. I feel like I've been kind of floating on cloud nine this last week. Last Thursday, we had the anniversary edition of Liberty Librarian, and oh my Lord, it was such a great time. I had wonderful outpouring of love from all of you. I honestly, I couldn't have expected how many more people decided to share that they love Liberty Librarian and that people have subscribed on my Facebook channel. They've said nice things from all around the world. It was amazing. And it was the best viewed Liberty Librarian yet, with over 2,000 people watching. I've never in a million years believed that many people would watch one of my shows. And I was so happy, so thrilled. Thank you. And it's because of people like you, I constantly want to keep doing this and have more and more fun sharing news, intellectual freedom news, and weird stuff. So it's been, another week of working at home. I'm sure you all are trapped at home too. And I'm having a summer shandy with the thought that summer will come soon enough, and we will enjoy that nice weather and spending time outside as we can, in proper social distancing, of course. Cheers to you guys. I honestly, I couldn't even expect that things would be as amazing as they are lately, and I'm very, very happy. Oh, I got to put on the comments. I will mention, since I'm using StreamYard, if you click on the allow comments on StreamYard, then I can see who it is right on my my handy dandy little StreamYard section for comments. It's so easy, and then I can share it to the feed if you like. So I bring that down. Hey, there we go. You can see more of me. I changed my view because now that it's summer, there's more light and you can see daylight behind me, and sometimes you'll see a cat come running by. I feed them honestly before the show, so that way they're a little more quiet and let the lions go sleep after they eat. So it's kind of nice. I will say I got a gift in the mail. I've first gift for the Liberty Librarian, and I'm going to show it off. Let's see. Grab it right here. Laura Lane sent me this. She makes medical masks, and one of the ones that she made for me, I'll show it off. I have a tiny face, so I'd have to put it way up high. But you can see, get close enough, there's Statue of Liberty on it and fireworks. So I can be healthy and represent, or I can wear it the other way. I kind of like that too, because then you can see it on the sides, because it's reversible. But you can do that. So now I'm styling. See? Statue of Liberty. So Liberty Librarian, healthy. Thank you so much, Laura. I love it. That is like the nicest thing ever. I love it. Oh, hi, Aunt Darcel. Cheers from Illinois. There. Look, I put your comment up on there. Woo! Yay. And honestly, hope this nice weather's coming your way, because seriously, it's just so beautiful the last couple days. And I think everybody, it raises your spirits a little bit to have a little nice weather coming to you. And I know in the South they had some tornadoes, so hopefully it's not, it's calm and everything is good for you, and we can all have a little nice weather and a little sunshine coming our way, because who doesn't want that? So this show, I'm going to do, I've had a couple interview shows in a row, so you get kind of on that roll. But today I'm going to do one of the Heather solo shows, and I think it'll be a pretty fun one. We're going to do just a tiny bit of intellectual freedom news today. And, because honestly, since everyone's sheltering in place. There's just not a huge amount in the world, but people are still writing about the fact that there are intellectual freedom news events going on. So we'll talk a little bit about that, of course, before we get into the main thing. And for the second half, what I'm going to talk about is what's called the Fenn treasure, FENN treasure. And this is an adventurer, kind of cool guy, older guy, Forrest Fenn, buried treasure out in the Rocky Mountains somewhere. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the modern things that have happened, and then the history of it a little bit, and talk about, how people are enraptured with finding this treasure. So that'll be a fun thing too. And I got a little video clip to show you too. So I'm just hoping that you are having a good week. I am just on cloud nine. I really have had so much fun doing the shows, doing Liberty Librarian, of course, and the new Sweet Subversives on Wednesdays. And it just keeps me going. Sometimes you think about how the world is kind of hard right now, and it's so good to throw yourself into something that's fun. And I hope I can share a little something different to think about, and we can have a little fun together too. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to have a little sippy sip. Seriously. For intellectual freedom news this week, one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is I do a million Zoom meetings every week because I work for the state of Minnesota and in a community college. So now that we're sheltering in place, a lot of us are working from home. Those of us that can teach from home and do most of our duties at home are working at home. So that's what I've been doing. And to keep in touch with everyone, pretty much every day I have a Zoom meeting of some sort, and it wears down on you. But just like this for doing streaming, it's kind of handy. I mean, if I do this, what does it look like? I'm like, ooh, sorry. I'm playing with the settings. If I do that or that, nope. As you can tell, I have a brand new setup with the StreamYard that I've been using for a few weeks. And I love it. It's super easy to use. It looks crystal clear, whereas Zoom was kind of fuzzy towards the end. And I blame the huge jump in usage because colleges, universities, K through 12, businesses, people working from home, families are using Zoom to just chat with each other. I mean, I've used it for that, and I feel like the quality has gone a little bit less, but they've been staying on top of it. I haven't been disconnected more than once, and I blame more my own internet because everyone in my community is using the internet, so it's a tight strain on resources, but luckily we've been doing pretty good with it. I mean, even doing the show, my husband's in the other room watching West Wing. He's trying to get through West Wing before they take it off of Netflix. And the constant streaming of video, the constant using video recording, it's a taxing thing on the system. And I have a friend who has 5 kids, and they're all at home, all using the internet. And it is like a snail's pace for them to get anything done. So I sympathize completely with all the people having issues with Zoom and the like, Skype, whatever your poison is. It got so bad for me that I had a friend who just started her own streaming video, and she was using StreamYard, which I'm using now. And I tried out that because it crashed one of our Sweet Subversive shows. And that was the only time I've had that happen, but I didn't want to keep having it happen, And since I switched to StreamYard, and I feel like I'm plugging them, I'm not getting any money. Dang it, not getting any money, but I really like it. I had been using the free one, and I really enjoyed it. It worked good. And I decided to do the paid one. And the paid one is really cool because you can restream it to different places. So part of what my goal was is to find a way to make this so it's easy for me. I don't have like a production manager. I have to do all this myself for, contacting people. I don't have somebody just forwarding comments to me. And so that way I know what to answer. I have to make it so it's easy for me all on one screen. And even so, you miss stuff because you have all these different screens, and I see reactions from people, and you wonder, like, am I missing something? And you probably are, because I look at it and I'm new at this too. I mean, I feel like, yes, I've been doing this for a year, but I'm learning something every single day. And I think that's what's really cool about it, is everyone needs to have a way to keep your mind sharp, keep things kind of going. So I've had a love of this StreamYard, but one of the main reasons I switched to StreamYard from Zoom was privacy issues. And I'm sure that is on a lot of people's mind right now, is how safe is Zoom? There are some holes in the security that make it so people could hack you. There are some holes in the security that make it really easy, if you don't have a password or a waiting room option turned on, for what they call Zoom bombers, which I've talked about before, where people can figure out what your number is and show up and do inappropriate things or try to crash your meetings. So it could happen anywhere at any time. It's really challenging, and I get it. The professional side of it, whatever, you just ban the people and move on. But as a live streamer, I think it would just be the kind of thing that would shake you. And it's hard enough to not to keep rolling, like if something happens, like I've had like people knock on the door while I'm recording, and people walk through the room, like husbands walk through the room and go, "Hey, have you seen this?" And I'm like, "I'm on the air," So to have a random person like do something inappropriate, it would scare you. I think I could see why people would get really upset by that. So the article I found, and also I should just back up and say, all my favorite intellectual freedom news is from the ALA, American Library Association website, called the Intellectual Freedom. Where I find the Intellectual Freedom blog, from the Office of Intellectual Freedom for the American Library Association. And I will just quickly post that link on here. Oops, that's not a comment. Yeah, it's a comment. So I can just post that in chat. See if that shows up. So if you want to go there for yourself, you can just go there and even just the first part, the www.oif.ala.org, and you will find the Office of Intellectual Freedom News. And I think they're just great. This week, one of the ones I wanted to talk about was the to Zoom or not to Zoom. This was on the ChoosePrivacyEveryday.org website by Kate Letchenberg, and it was last week on the 17th. So she talked about being a teacher, and I identify with this because she was an early adopter to Google Docs, teaching in high school English, and she realized later that she had given away her students' privacy by doing that, because it's free and it's easy for people to get into stuff, just like Zoom was, just like even StreamYard is for the free version. I mean, it's so easy. But to know what kind of privacy issues there are, even like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, people were unaware. I was unaware. So I think it's just really smart to look into it and make sure that we're not being thoughtless about what we're giving students. And I'd been in some presentations where I talked about, I love Google. I love Google Docs. I use it for a lot of things, but you have to be very thoughtful about the fact that you're signing away your privacy in a lot of these things. And sometimes I feel like you have to either just accept it or you just don't use them. And there is something to be said for using something that's paid for, where you can look into the software, the service, and see that privacy is one of the top options for them. So if you are concerned about privacy, you're going to have to do digging. But what this author had talked about was in the golden days of Zoom, she had been singing the praises of it and living on Zoom, teaching classes online. She's working on her dissertation from home. It's relatively glitch free. Honestly, I like their virtual background better on Zoom than I do on StreamYard. I have purchased a green screen that I need to set up and use, and then I think it will work just fine on StreamYard. But just doing this in my living room, which is so much easier for me, and I like the light. It's something to get different and kind of get used to. But then with COVID-19, Zoom exploded everywhere. Everyone was using it for synchronous instruction, for research meetings, for student conferences, everything to help sessions. I've used it for working with faculty to teach like what resources are available, how to get to them, like set up ideas for open educational resources. There's so much you can do with it. It's a great resource. I get it. Even where I work, they paid for the professional version, so it's even better. But there is something to be said for, what kind of data are they pulling? How long do they keep the video? Who sees the video of your personal, chat with your advisor or a student? What kind of world are we going to live in? Is it going to be something that's easy for people to crack, to get into it? So the New York Times confirmed that we live in a Zoom world now. And it's kind of something like there's a Zoom bombing with the trolling, and it's kind of exploded since the end of March to now. You're seeing more and more of it. There are intruders joining Zoom meetings, sharing racist, sexist, and oppressive, unwanted content. I mean, you're going there for a business meeting and you see somebody flash their junk. It's not really what you wanted to see. So in April 3rd, Intellectual Freedom News, they talked about the New York Attorney General's investigation into Zoom and Zoom's early promises to increase privacy by reports, after reports by Consumer Reports. So by April 10th, we're getting closer to now. There's a mini Zoom section in the Intellectual Freedom News. There's articles about schools banning Zoom, U.S. senators being told to avoid Zoom, broader concerns about protecting student privacy during online learning, and tips for keeping your Zoom chat safe. So it's on the front of everyone's mind. So the situation has continued to deteriorate as hate-mongering Zoom bombers increase their efforts and hack Zoom accounts that were sold on the dark web. Ooh. So Zoom hasn't been shy about admitting their mistakes. And the CEO had a public apology that was covered widely. And they are making small steps, allowing paying customers to choose to avoid having their data routed through China, which is not the most privacy-minded of societies there. So Zoom continues to face critiques for their lack of end-to-end encryption, and many experts encourage people to try other video conferencing tools with tighter security. I'm going to just open that up. Some of the example ones, it's on Forbes. Yeah, the Forbes blocks me off because I have ad blockers on them. Bite me, Forbes. Some of the other options lately, I know there's been some. Google has a Google Meeting, which I haven't really used. I used to use Google Hangouts, so I'm sure it's somewhat similar because that was built into like the Gmail system. but they've been very vocal about bringing down Zoom, which I feel like is just because they want to make money off of this, because Zoom was making way too much really quick. So Skype is a good option. It's more like a phone system, so it's a little bit more direct. There are other options. Oh, there's one that we used to be using. God, I can't remember off the top of my head. It was a very popular one. There's other options, and even StreamYard, which is smaller scale, so you couldn't get a huge meeting like a Zoom meeting or a webinar. But StreamYard, you can have up to 6 people on the screen at a time and have 4 people wait in a wait room, so you can switch them out. But for everyday things, even like there's instant messaging software. God, what was it? Is it Periscope? I think that was a really good option. Make sure. I don't know what it is lately. With the whole world kind of going crazy, it's really hard to remember things and to focus. That's been the hard thing. So live video streaming app, Periscope. That was the Twitter one. But it's not Discord. Very secure. I think if I saw it. Yeah. Private video chatting. Let's see. What does Mashable say? We'll look at that quick. Sorry about making you wait. It's like my internet's really slow and I just went on a tangent. Sippy, sip, sip. Oh. So what they say on Mashable, I don't know what say is the best source. They talk about using FaceTime. So use that. That's like Mac, right? iOS devices. Signal is the one, and they mentioned that one. Like Signal is the one I've been told repeatedly is better because it has a lot more encryption and end-to-end encrypted. So if you are going to be sending anything to your friends and family, Signal is a good one to look at. And I've had that. My favorite IT people have mentioned that time and time again. There is one that's kind of like Zoom. It's a free and open source software called Jitsi Meet, which is the weirdest name. I haven't tried it, but I've heard that it's pretty good. And it's got it's by the Tor project, TOR. Tor used to do like the behind the scenes downloading for movies and stuff, encrypted materials flying around the internet. So Jitsi Meet, they say, is really good and it's encrypted. I'm going to have to try it because that's like one of the first times I've seen it. But I've heard that it's pretty good. Some of the things in Zoom are okay, but if you have the ability to spin up a box to host your own Jitsi instance, you should totally do it. So they call them instances. So free video conferencing through there. Those are a couple options. You can do StreamYard is free for just a smaller group. What I don't like about StreamYard is if you're hosting it, and I've done this with family hosting, is that whoever's hosting it gets a tiny little screen and you can't adjust that. I haven't figured out how to make it bigger. But everyone else, they don't have to download anything. And it's nice because you have chat features built in. So I like that. But think about this when you're doing Zoom, that there are other options. However, if you are like have to use Zoom, it's like what everybody's using. They're telling you should use it at work or for whatever reason. You need to tighten your security settings. So it's not that bad, but make sure that you're using a waiting room feature. Make people come into it. They come in there first. It's a little bit of a hassle because then you got to pull people in to your actual meeting or have a password or both. But passwords are good too. In general, it's a lot harder for them to guess that. And you could change your password every week, every time, whatever. And then you're not getting random people into your meetings that you don't want. And you might want to make sure that you lock down people who are in there with having screen share abilities. I think there's an option where you can allow someone to have it, but the default is to have it turned off for everyone else who isn't the host. So I think it's just your due diligence is to at least have that. Maybe use Zoom for something that isn't highly sensitive, things that you're not really worried if other people would hear. Like it was a conversation you would have at like a coffee shop, not anything to do with your big money business type of things or private issues. So it's just a good thing to do. So choosing privacy over familiarity and ease of use, that's where those other options would come in. And I think I would say, FaceTime is good because the iOS, the Mac option is actually very private and secure chat, but it's limited to Apple devices. So that kind of makes it really tough to just share with everyone. But Signal, I've heard time and time again, is a great option. And there's a desktop version now. It used to be more like apps. So please at least look at those if you're thinking about it. But I'm definitely going to take a look at this Jitsi Meet. I think that might be a good one. I don't know if there is a limit, like how for the free Zoom, there's like I think it's 45 minutes or 40 minutes. And there's like a limit to number of people and how many hours, I think a month you can use it. But Jitsi Meet is free and open source. So I'm guessing that it really doesn't rely on that. And since they do have that built in with like with the Tor project, it's totally encrypted and open source. So it seems like it's a good way to go. And it's important to note that calls on Jitsi are not end-to-end encrypted like Signal or FaceTime. So at this point, I would go with Signal if you're looking for the most secure. So I'm going to pause for a second. See you later. Have a good time. It is NFL draft day for those of you who do not know. Husband's going to go sit and watch the online NFL draft, and I have no interest in that.
Going to find an underground bar.
He's going to go look for underground bars. There are none. and get all of his juicy tidbits about
the NFL draft.
Liberate the NFL draft. I don't know how you could liberate it. But he's practicing social distancing and drinking beer. So enjoy, and I will see you later.
Taking the Doritos.
Oh, son of a bitch. Dang it. Bring more back. So, yes, he's stealing my Doritos and the good beer.
Your Doritos.
Yeah, I know. They were mine until now they're not. Oh, Lord. So anyway, that was the gist of the news that I wanted to share for today. There's really not that much going on. It's all like very similar stuff. If you look on the ALA Intellectual Freedom blog page, they do have a lot of COVID-19 resources and things that pertain to library services that would be useful for anyone who works in libraries around the U.S. and some of the issues that we have, like trying to make sure that we have lots of ebooks and streaming resources available, and making sure that we have good resources for people who might be going through unemployment, trying to figure out how to do their taxes, how to, make sure that they are connected with information. So that's part of what I do every day, is working on trying to reach out to students and faculty and people in my community to help them figure out how to get things done that they want the way they need to. And it's really hard. I mean, I'm in a lot of library groups, and I am very lucky that I get to work at home. There's so many libraries that are furloughing people, laying people off. And you don't know how long that's going to be. Some of the people have told me, well, if you can get unemployment, it could be a really good thing for a little while because they're going to extend it. But I mean, really, who wants that? I would rather just have my life be normal and not have to rely on it. And actually, it was a really good comment my husband made earlier, is that it's actually your money. They're not just giving you free money. It's money you've paid them. It's your money that they're supposed to use to help keep things running. So if they don't have money to keep things running and they're just giving it back to you, did they really need it in the first place? Should we not be taxed as much? And it's a good point. I mean, I look at it and kind of wonder, at what point will this end? At what point is there a breaking point where everyone's getting paid because nothing can be open anymore? Andy and I had talked about something called the universal wage, and universal wage was something that was bandied around that, like, you could either work or you could just take a universal wage and do whatever. And a lot of people would not be doing work if they got a universal wage. And what would the world be like? There are a lot of people. There was, I think, a businesswoman who ran spas out in Portland. I think that was right. It might have been Seattle. But she, for her 2 spas, she got the loan for, the small business loan where you can get it to help your business run during COVID-19. But the caveat is that you have to use it to, at least part of it, to pay salaries for your staff. And when she told them, she thought they would be excited, but instead they're angry. And they're angry because on unemployment, normally you would get about 70, it's between 50 and 70% of what your normal wage is, depending on what state you live in. But not only that, I think they changed it so it's that amount plus $600. And I think that's every month. So some of the people were making more money beyond unemployment than if they had been working. So there was definitely a feeling of betrayal because they why would I want to come back to work when I can get this? So she felt like she was also betrayed by the government because they made it so sweet for people to not work, which on one hand, that keeps people at home, keeps people safer from getting sick. But if it's safe enough to work because it's an essential service and they do it with social distancing, keep things clean, you should be able to do most duties. So that's the problem, and that's the rub. So in this time of that, I think there's a lot of people that are worried, and we really, I sympathize because I see that this is going to happen in waves. You get your first group of people laid off, and then it'll be a little while longer, and then some of the saturation of not having business. It's like the meat, all these meat processing companies in our around Minnesota and in the Midwest are starting to close because they would have cases of COVID-19 there, and then they would close the whole place down. Eventually, we're going to run out of things like meat. We're going to run out of many things that we rely on. And how long is it that we can operate and still buy things? I mean, they're doing shipping. We have to bless the mailmen because they keep bringing stuff. And when is it going to be that we get to the point where we can't keep doing this? And it seems like this has only really been going on for like a couple months tops, right? And most of the state stuff has been really shut down in the last month. There's no way that this could go on forever. And I know people who are like, it's going to be 18 months. Like, it could be. It really could be. And I'm not saying what, because no matter what you say, you're wrong to somebody. You're wrong. I want the world to open up again. I want it to be like sort of normal. It's never going to be normal right away. People are really wrecked by this. They don't even want to touch each other. They want nothing to do with people. And I don't want people to get sick. I don't want that. It's dangerous. I know. But got to find this way to get out of this. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm not that smart. But I feel like I get it. And, oh man, what is this? Here's from Alicia. It's per week for the 600 from the federal government. Per week? They also passed $400 million for more paycheck protection loans just now. Wow. It almost means, my tin hat moments are in this is that they're trying to get us complacent. And so we sit at home because they keep paying us. And then we have to agree with them because they gave us so much money. See, they're looking out for us. But at what point do they pull back? Do they give us our rights back? What point do they go, okay, now that we've had all this power, we're going to give it back to you? Because that's not usually how it works. Once they take things away from you, it's almost impossible to have it come back to you. And it's terrifying to me. Oh man. So I think about that, and I read every day about people that I'm friends with on Facebook and in real life, and the hardship they're going through. And I just wish there was ways that I could make it better. I try, and the least I can do is not be a dick to somebody. Like, I have neighbors that do really weird things, and I could easily see if they call them a Karen, and I have friends that are named Karen, so I always feel like so bad. Like, it's a Karen. I'm like, Karen's nice. Shut up. But maybe that Karen. Maybe it's a different Karen, But there are so many people that just want to talk to somebody. And I had to get work on my car, and that was open. Thank goodness. Expensive. But just talking to the guy there is just seeing people. It's so nice. And I know it's going to break down. I just read in the news that down in Florida, they're opening some of the beaches, and you get different, when they first opened it, they said it was like a mad rush. People just rushing to the beach. They're so excited to be able to go. And then the other side of it is instantly people are like, they're all going to die. And I go, not all of them. I mean, really, you could be at home doing everything right, protecting yourself from COVID-19, cleaning, washing your hands, no, not ever going outside and slip and fall in your bathtub and die. I mean, there is a rationality where you kind of go, you have to live a little bit. Be freaking careful, of course. But do you really think it's feasible to think that people can live inside for the rest of their lives? I don't. So they need to start coming up with tests, right? They need to get this vaccine, and that may not happen anytime soon. They have to test it, But also maybe they need to be a little bit less restrictive when they see things have evened out and start dropping. They need to get the facts. I am not an epidemiologist. I'm not an infection expert or any of that. But I know that the people are working hard to figure it out. And I think somewhere in between the two ends of the spectrum is probably the right choice. So I am eagerly hoping that sooner than later they can figure out a way to let some of us back in, open up a little bit of the services. Do it in a way that's social distancing. Look at Sweden. Google that stuff. The Sweden examples are amazing. They've done very well. I live in Minnesota, so I can say this is probably sort of a Scandinavian thing anyway. We do a little bit of social distancing. We don't like people right on top of us unless we ask them nice. And seriously, if you kind of act like a Minnesotan, maybe it would work, just tell people you gotta space things apart and do it that way. And I live in a state, there's such rule followers to the T, dotting the I's, all of that. But we can't be turning on each other and breaking each other down, because I've seen people get so angry and so rough on each other. And we're all, seriously, I feel like this is one giant mental health crisis in the whole state. Illinois is stay in place through May with modifications. wonder what the modifications are. That is a good question. I think if we could have something where there's some more modifications. I mean, we have like liquor stores open. We have gas stations, essential. I didn't get to see the governor's new update today, but I'm guessing it's something about extending the May 4th to, I think, at the 18th or something like that is what I read somewhere on Facebook. I'll have to read it quickly later, but yes, having some modifications. I would like to see medical facilities, especially ones that aren't connected to hospitals, like dentists, be able to find a way to be open, but, protected. And I think that's probably, since they're private businesses, they can like decide to be open or not. A lot of places would be. I actually had the discussion with my husband that he's like thinking about letting me cut his hair. It's like end of days shit. When I'm gonna have to cut Andy's hair. He's like, it's mostly just in the back, and I can do it. I cut my own hair. I'm not gonna do anything drastic because I'm a little scared about keeping it straight. But just trimming long ends, that's not so bad. But dyeing hair, I've done that. I know a lot of women are doing that. Here, let's see. So more stores are on with online ordering and curbside pickup. Absolutely. I am trying to support local businesses as much as I can that like do the online ordering, curbside pickup. We actually tried. Oh yeah, doctors and dentists are allowed to do more. We need that in Minnesota. They're very strict here. Honestly, it's just there's so much that we worry about, and I think there is a limit to how long we can go with really high restrictions like we have. I see things where kids want to play on playgrounds, and some neighborhoods, and how do I say this nicely, where like there's only one playground and everyone lives in an apartment and there's hardly any windows. The kids frickin' need to go and play. And I know it's really hard for people to understand. You're like, well, it might not be clean enough. True. But most of the time when little kids get COVID-19, they don't even know they have it. But we don't want them to get it. It's usually the elderly and those that have usually severe lung conditions that are getting it, and it's very serious for them. You don't want the kids to bring it home. I get it. But why can't you have it, things outside of it where you can have hand wiping stations and say, parents, bring your kids to the playground, but make sure they're wiping down before they get out there and then wiping up when they leave. And I think that's not too much to ask. And some kids, that's the only place they can go where they get a little bit of escape in their day. So anyway, I went on a huge tangent on COVID-19. I wasn't even going to talk about it today. How did it happen? I don't know. But so we talked about Zoom. Not going to talk about that anymore. So intellectual freedom news. I'm just going to do a quick share so you can see what the screen looks like. Share screen. Here it is. This is what it looks like. The intellectual freedom news site is a great page. It has highlights. It has library services, censorship, privacy, and cybersecurity, access, net neutrality. Talk about hate speech. But you see, it's a lot less than it usually is. There's a lot of stuff from around the web. These are usually really fun to look at. I get to the point where I use some of the news sources. They let you look at it free so many times. I've looked at them too much in like 2 weeks, and then I can't even look at them for the rest of the month. So it's almost not even worth it. But there's so many good things here. So if you like what I talk about with intellectual freedom news, please do look at that. It's a great source, and I love it. So, okay, here is, man, I could just talk and talk. The thing I actually wanted to talk about today, the fun thing, is have you heard of the Fen treasure? Fen treasure. Okay, let me just tell you a little bit of what that is. The Fen treasure is a cache. It's like a treasure chest filled with gold and jewels from Forrest Fenn, an art dealer and author from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And the claims that it is hidden in the Rocky Mountains of the United States. Now, I'm going to show you really quickly. If I can find my map. There we go. Okay, that is the tab. I'm going to show you what it looks like. We'll do the share screen on that again. So the map of this is here. There we go. This should be it. It's anywhere in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, or New Mexico. Anywhere in the Rocky Mountains. I'm leaning towards Colorado to New Mexico on the southern half, but who knows? It could be anywhere. Since he says it's anywhere in the Rocky Mountains in the United States, it could be there. He has what it's called The Thrill of the Chase. It's a book he wrote, and I'll go into that in a little bit. But this is what it looks like. This is where it is, somewhere in here, in this huge amount of land in the Rocky Mountains is a treasure chest, and people have been looking at it for the last about 10 years. The degrees show the inclination of magnetic compass north from true map north. And I think that's important. And I'm not quite sure if there's a numerical thing with the poetry that came with it, but it seems like that is pretty important to it. So I'm going to read the poem to you. And if you're brilliant, you might be able to figure this out. But I'm going to give you a caveat in a minute. So don't go run out the door and not listen to the rest of this. Please don't. So I'm going to see. As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. Begin it where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down, not far, but too far to walk. Put in below the home of Brown. From there it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. There will be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. If you've been wise and found the blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease, but tarry scant with marvel gaze. Just take the chest and go in peace. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answer I already know. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. So hear me all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you are brave and in the wood, I will give you title to the gold. Ooh. Okay, so it's a treasure hunt. It's been going on, and it is, they say, about $2 million worth of gold in a treasure chest somewhere, and people have been going crazy for this. Forrest Fenn was a pilot in U.S. Air Force, so he's had a huge, amazing life. He loves nature. He would be out looking for American Indian artifacts, and he had just an amazing life. And in 1988, he was diagnosed with cancer, and he said that they told him it was likely to be terminal. So this inspired him to hide a treasure chest in an outdoor location with the purpose of creating a public search for it. And it was also intended the location be his final resting place. So the treasure was his legacy. But the thing was, he recovered from his illness, and he beat cancer. So he's still alive. The guy is still alive. And he self-published a book in 2010 called The Thrill of the Chase, a memoir, because he wanted people to still find the treasure chest. He says it contains gold nuggets, rare coins, jewelry, and gemstones. He goes on to write that he hid the chest in the mountains somewhere north of Santa Fe. And he says that the stories in the book contain hints at the chest's location, as well as places where it could be. There are 9 clues that lead the searcher to the chest. So he claims that to make no money on the sale of the self-published books for fear of being labeled a fraud by the critics. So he says it's still out there, and he says it's true. he had, this is interesting. I never knew this before. Before the treasure hunt, Fenn conflicted with authorities over federal antiquities law. FBI agents raided his home in 2009 as part of an investigation into artifact looting in the Four Corners area. Items in his possession reportedly include pieces of chainmail from the Pecos National Historical Park, human hair, and a feathered talisman and buffalo skull, some of which were confiscated by federal authorities. However, no charges have ever been filed. So 2 people targeted in the case committed suicide, and Fenn has blamed the FBI for their deaths. So lots of crazy stuff. Okay, this is why this came to my attention. I was thinking of what do I want to talk to you guys about. I'm going to share this. This is just last month. There was another person who died looking for this famous hidden treasure in the Rocky Mountains. So at this point, I think that it's 5 or maybe 6 people have died trying to find this treasure. It's dangerous to go in the Rocky Mountains, especially if you are not a nature type person who knows how to hunt, do survival. Please don't go running out if you've never done this before, or at least take someone with you who does have that experience, because so many people have gone out. They're ill prepared for mountain weather. They froze to death. They died. They got lost. They got hurt. There's many things that can happen to you. So this is what happened. This is only March 17th, and they were found, I think, in the 20th or something like that. So this was reported on the 26th. So 2 snowmobile riders from Colorado were searching for an elusive treasure when they became stranded, and one died in the Utah park. The pair set out from Denver area March 17th to search for Forrest Fenn's treasure. The eccentric New Mexico antiquities dealer had said he hid the bounty, rumored to be worth around $2 million, somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. So now 4 Coloradoans have lost their lives since 2016 in their search for it. CBS Denver reported this. In 2017, police in northern New Mexico recovered the body of a Colorado pastor who disappeared while searching for buried treasure. So this goes on to say that the 58-year-old snowmobiler died before the men were located near Saturday near Dinosaur National Monument, which I've been to, along the Utah-Colorado border. His 65-year-old companion was rescued. Thousands of people have searched for the treasure since 2010, when Fenn offered clues in his self-published memoir, The Thrill of the Chase. So he is now 89. And he had hoped the hunt would push more people outside to enjoy the wilderness. What was happened was tragic, he said in an email on Tuesday. So authorities have not named the 2 snowmobilers, which they probably have by now. I didn't double check to see what their names are. But they said in the vehicle of one of the snowmobilers, there was a copy of Fenn's book. They carried candy bars and a couple bottles of water, but at some point there was not enough snow on the ground and they pressed forward on foot. They were not dressed appropriately for the conditions, even for a day trip, and definitely not dressed if something happened and they couldn't get out of there. So just nature is dangerous. It can get cold in the mountains quickly. You can lose sight of where you are. But the searchers on foot spotted the older man Saturday. He was removed by helicopter and hospitalized, but his companion was dead when the rescuers arrived. The men were found within 5 miles of a site where they previously rescued by emergency crews. So in 2015 on CBS Sunday Morning, Fenn read the poem that he says holds clues to the exact location of a chest, the one I read earlier. And it says, treasure fit for a pirate, with gold, coins, precious metals, and other artifacts. And even though the exact dollar value is not known, they're saying $2 million. So it is hoped that his treasure would spark a spirit of adventure for those seeking it. But I would like to show you a quick little feature about it. And let's see if I can figure out where I put that. Here we go. Oh, I closed it. Smart, Heather. It was by Ripley's Believe It or Not, the Forrest Fenn Hidden Treasure.
There was a hidden treasure, and
Oh, before I do that, I gotta make sure I switch my settings to listen to the sound. So share audio, Heather. That's smart. Okay, now you'll be able to hear it too. Here we go.
There was a hidden treasure and there was a chance I could find it. You better believe I was taking that opportunity. And as it happens, I've taken that opportunity over 300 times.
This rich guy in Santa Fe hid a treasure chest in the Rocky Mountains. He wrote a book called The Thrill of the Chase, and there's a poem that you have to solve. From that moment on, it's been like an obsession.
So I hid this treasure chest in the Rocky Mountains, somewhere between Santa Fe and the Canadian border. It's in Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, or New Mexico. And it's there, it's waiting for somebody.
In a period of 6 years, I've searched for Forrest Gump's treasure over 300 times.
I don't know how long it was that I was in it before I realized, oh, it may never be found. It will probably never be found by me. And will it ever be found by anybody in my lifetime? I do not know. And I know I've thought that way at least probably since 2017, maybe.
I found my first arrowhead when I was 9 years old, and that started me on an expedition that lasted for 80 years. I mean, I'm 89 years old now, so I've been looking for arrowheads for 80 years. I was a professional fishing guide when I was 13 years old, and I was running a tackle shop all by myself. I made flies. I tied catgut leaders in those days before we had nylon, and those were the good old days. I mean, I loved that Yellowstone country. Well, I made bad grades in high school, and there was nothing for me. The Korean War started, and I joined the Air Force on the 6th of September, 1950. The war had been going on just a few months. I flew 328 combat missions in 348 days. I was shot down twice, and I lost some buddies over there, and I took battle damage a few times. But I mean, yeah, I did that. I mean, I retired from the Air Force. I turned down a promotion to lieutenant colonel to get out. I lived about 8 miles from the base in Lubbock through cotton fields. And I had a little Volkswagen Bug I was driving, and I got halfway home, and a strange emotion came over me, and I pulled over to the side, and I climbed through a barbed wire fence to get out in this big cotton field, and I walked a couple of 100 yards out in the middle of this big field, and I took my watch off and I threw it just as far as I could throw it. It was a religious experience for me. And then I took my little calendar out of my wallet and I shredded it and spread it to the four winds, and I felt better after that. I told myself, this is part of my life that I'm closing the door. And then I built the gallery in Santa Fe. I survived by traders coming in and consigning things to me or selling me things, and that's how you learn the business. That's how I got all of this stuff. I found this wonderful little treasure chest, cast bronze treasure chest, a couple 100 years old, and I started filling it with wonderful things. 265 gold coins. But it was 1988 that I got cancer, and that's when I got the idea. And I told myself that I've had so much fun over the last 50 or 75 years finding these things. Why not give somebody, if I'm going to die, why not let somebody else have the same enjoyment that I've had over the years doing this thing? That was one of my motivations.
The chances of me finding this treasure are basically non-existent. But the opportunity to look is amazing.
That is from Ripley's Believe It or Not. And what I just wanted to say, I know I'm almost out of time, but what I thought about that was that this is, it really moved me when I saw that video, is that he threw his watch. He's not held back by time anymore. He's not held back by dates and being beholden to other people. He decided, he made a conscious decision that he was going to do something new and amazing and make himself happy. And I think, going through really tough things like war, going through a pandemic, a lot of us will lean on that we give up. And it just reminds me when I see somebody like this is that you could give up. I mean, this guy had cancer. He could easily have given up. But instead, he came up with this batshit crazy, awesome treasure hunt because he's like, if I'm going to die, I want people to find this. And like, they'll be talking about this. And whoever finds it, it's going to be amazing. It's going to change your life. And it's going to hopefully bring joy. And then people go, that Looney Tunes dude put all that money out in there because he wanted somebody to find it. There's nothing wrong with that. So I hope that instead of going down the dark path and you give up, because it's really easy to right now, I know. And I feel it for you because there's so many hardships right now. But think of ways that you can maybe make things special, or when you get through this, what can you do that maybe people be talking about a little crazy, a little bit you. And not everybody can go, or can or should go out and hide a treasure chest. And honestly, a lot of you shouldn't go out looking for it either. But gosh, the day that somebody finds that, they're going to talk about it forever. And I think that's really neat. I'm really sad that all those people died looking for it. So be smart about it too. And I think that it's like such a good parable for this time that we live in right now. There's a lot of bizarre stuff where people are taking weird risks. Live life like you're searching for Fenn's treasure. And that's exactly it. Why not? Why not make it an epic adventure? Throw that ring into Mount Doom. Go out there. Look for treasure. Make it special. Get this one life. Let's do it awesome. So on that, I'm going to end on that note. I'm just so happy that you guys can join me every week. And you can see, I love going down the rabbit hole of weird history stuff and things that are going on in the news. But I do it for you. I love you guys. I hope that you stay safe and healthy. And I will see you next Thursday for Liberty Librarian. And let's party. Let's keep it going. So have a good week. Bye, guys.